Hello, this is James St. James, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about the human reconstruction process. Join me on my journey as I integrate ancient and modern medicines to reverse engineer intuitive healing so that you can re-engineer your body and mind to live vibrantly once again. The healing process is the process by which we can restructure our body or re-engineer the tissues back into their original state. It is tailored so that you're able to understand how the body works, be able to identify where the damage is, to go into the damage, and then to resolve the damage through whatever tool or means necessary. Since we were born, we've all been developing stress, and that stress has accumulated emotionally through trauma, through injury, in many different ways throughout our life, which has led to subtle amounts of damage throughout our body. We are literally going to be looking at the body from the point of view of there's the body and this is the damage, and then creating strategies to be able to fix that damage, hopefully quickly, effectively, and efficiently. This is about not only restoring the body, but also the mind. And the mind is composed of many things, not just the central nervous system, which is the brain, but there are about 33 components throughout the human body that actually have a strong influence in determining how we think. And if you're interested in learning more about how the body works, there's another video in the link in the description. Now, this isn't in a replacement for something like the medical industry or the health and wellness industry or the alternative healing industry, as each of these have their own strengths, they have what they do best. This is merely a different perspective of looking at the human body and addressing how to fix it. The reality of the world is that as we accumulate this subtle amount of damage in our body is very intelligent, so it's able to subvert the damage into places of our body that are not as critical in terms of mental or physical performance. So what this means is when we are kids, we can take on enormous amounts of damage and it will not affect how we think and perform. But as we move through time, those damage points then compound with an interest-like effect and then create further tension and stress on other physiological or biomechanical systems. Now, from those systems being impacted and continually compounding year after year, it later leads to health issues and even illness. Because when it comes to something like stress for most people is this very ethereal concept where people say things like, oh, you look stressed out, or I need to get rid of my stress. But for me, I think of everything in a very practical and maybe even scientific point of view. The fact that there's stress means to me that there's some phenomenon happening that can be explained through the rules of biology and the laws of physics. So if that's the case, then it means that there's a way to solve it, because at the end of the day, this is just a machine. This human body is a machine composed of 10 trillion little other machines. And if it's a machine, then it means it works according to the laws of physics. And if we're embodying something that we call stress, something that throughout the medical literature, hundreds of diseases have been attributed to this one demon of a thing called stress, but there's not too much scientific literature that goes into it. But this thing has such a profound influence in our lives, and it's causing us to feel held back, it's causing illness, it's causing all sorts of problems and obstacles that are keeping us from performing the way we want and from becoming the person who we believe that we're truly meant to be. So by solving stress and by identifying, saying, hey, this is stress, but what kind of stress? Where did it come from? How do I identify the stress? Where is this stress affecting? And being able to identify those points and then reverse engineering it so that you can create an effective strategy, then applying those strategies. This is the essence of the healing or the reconstruction process. A way of thinking about the reconstruction process is like a factory reset. Say if you damage your phone, and throughout the lifetime of your phone, maybe it's a few years old, it's gained a number of scratches, dents, drops, spills, all sorts of things that can happen to a phone. And you send it in to the original manufacturer. And what happens a few weeks later, they are supposed to return you a working phone in like new condition. Now the end goal is exactly this when it comes to the reconstruction process. You are literally reconstructing every single tissue and piece of the human biological system so that it is like its original condition. This can only be done by fixing damage, and the damage is unique for everybody. Because you grew up in a certain way, embodying certain levels of stress, certain stress patterns, and having certain organs working maybe harder to cope with your environment growing up, that your stress pattern and the damage that you've taken on is unique to everybody. So how do we tackle on a subject that is so unique in every single case? We can't categorize it. We can't use pattern differentiation. The only thing that we can do is say, okay, here's your unique circumstance, and here's the damage. The way I think of it is like this. If you have a window and it's dirty, you see some smudges, some crayon marks from the kids, and you have some dust on it. And then you can imagine in your mind what that window looks like when it's perfectly clear. Well then, all you have to do to make the window perfectly clear is just wipe the parts that have the dust. But you won't know what the window looks like unless you can see the perfect image in your mind of what it looks like when it's clear. Now this is the premise behind the reconstruction process. And this is why I have created a whole nother series that's going to go in depth about how to go about creating strategies, how to find the damage, how to trace the damage down to its root causes, then how to identify what those root causes are doing to the rest of the body, what's holding them in place, and then creating a strategy with the right tools that can effectively solve it. Now the right tools might be from anything and everything that you experience in your life that might help. So it's not about a certain type of medicine, or it's not about a certain type of therapy from a specific background. This is specifically only one thing. See damage, fix it. It's as simple as that. But it's really not that simple. That's why I'm creating a whole nother series on this. Now you can use any tools that you want, but those tools must be tailored to fixing damage. Now, when I say damage, there are specifically 5 levels of damage. Those 5 levels are, first level, you have damage that can easily be attained from stress, but then also can be easily released through things like massage and stretching. Then you have the second level of damage, which requires more in-depth practice, maybe a deep tissue massage, maybe physical therapy, and maybe you need yoga instead. Then there's a third level of damage to where now you need to be really serious. It's not going to be something that gets solved within one sitting. This is something that's going to be a serious climb to be able to overcome, be able to fix that damage. Maybe this muscle is something that's locked up. It's been locked up for a long time. Or maybe it's a tissue of a scar that's been from an injury and that you've had for many years. These kind of things require serious amounts of physical therapy, yoga, stretching, and all the tools that you have available to be able to resolve. The fourth level of damage is to the point where the damage has become somewhat unfixable. It is possible to fix it, but it just becomes highly unlikely. You could literally do years of physical therapy, years of yoga, years of stretching, years of acupuncture, years of every nutrient you could think of. It will not be fixed. The reason why is because that tissue, in terms of your body, is considered to be already dead. It means it has no nerve flow, no blood flow, no lymph flow, no water flow. And when that happens, the tissue cannot survive. But the body, the human body especially, is really smart. And what it does is it has a way of preserving these tissues. So instead of saying, oh, this is just dead, it's just all going to become scar tissue, then it preserves it using a special fluid. And that special fluid is somewhere between pus and blood. The pus, blood mixture, it contains essential nutrients and the oxygen levels in very low amounts, just enough to be able to keep the cells alive. But it's just a method of preserving it for someday in the future when that may work again. This fluid is really dark in its quality, and even there are some therapies that aim to remove this blood from the body in Chinese medicine, such as cupping and scraping. And if you look at the images from that, or if you've experienced it yourself, you'll see that they are able to poke out like dark fluid from the body, and it looks usually purple or black in its color. And from this, it's getting those fluids out of that preserved tissue. But that tissue is only being preserved because it's so damaged that the blood vessels and the water flow can't go in there to clear out everything that's in there. So moving that out usually is part of the first segment of the healing strategy for a tissue that has been preserved because of the damage. But it is still going to take a lot of work to be able to recover those kind of tissues. And that's where something like what we are going to cover actually in another series called Human Reconstruction is going to cover exactly how to tackle on level 4 damage within the human body. The 5th level of damage is to the point where things have pretty much gone to nothing, meaning that there's no cellular life left. All that's left is remaining connective tissue. When this happens, it creates an immense amount of forces because the collagen fibers all come together, and the collagen, just so you know, is, for its size, is 10 times stronger than steel. Now, that is a lot of force that's able to be applied in a specific area. So those forces are going to be pulling on the surrounding tissues, causing a lot of damage. And this is why it's really important to break apart those scar tissues. In this case, it would take something a little bit beyond physical therapy in order to be able to resolve. And these two I will cover as well in the Human Reconstruction series. The only things remotely similar to the reconstruction process, one could say, is physical therapy or surgery. The rate at which you can heal is largely dependent on your organ functionality. The reason why is because during the healing strategy, it's usually wise to temporarily boost the organ function so that your tissues of the body are more supported and can handle more stresses and then also more change. And the faster that you can change, the faster you can create the effects that you want in your body, the faster that you can reconstruct the tissues into the way that they should be. Now, when we create those changes in the body, it then works in the reverse way as well. So when we create those changes in the physical structure, it changes the electrical pathways for the electricity that runs through that area of the body, which defines the flow of energy through the body, which also affects the organs, as well as it changes the mechanics. And when the mechanics change, the posture changes, the feeling changes, and even the stress load on various areas throughout the body will change as well. So if you've had physical therapy or a deep tissue massage, you've probably felt, hey, my mechanics are changing, and suddenly I feel a little bit different. And that's the essence of being able to change the body to create a different stress load and hopefully reduce the burden on your organs so that your organs become stronger. And then once your organs become stronger, now you can regenerate the body more effectively. Human reconstruction or tissue reconstruction, it's not about being healthy or even healing, because healing is just one element of the process. Because sometimes you actually need to break things in order to make gains. It's better to take a small step backwards for a giant leap forward, especially in the rules of biology, because of the cascading consequences of damaged tissue and the propagating effects of stress on the other physiological systems within the body. This is why it's critically important that we take care of the damage ahead of time before it leads to more severe consequences. This is the art of the human reconstruction process. Now, people might say, well, surgery reconstructs the human body. But that is a completely different thing. With the point where something's broken or something's bloody, yes, get yourself to the hospital, go do what you need to do to take care of you. But when things aren't bloody, now you can say, okay, well, I feel this way and I want to feel better. I want to enhance my performance. I want to increase my emotional capabilities. I want to become more of a happy person. I want to be more joyful. I want to be full of fun. I want to be full of energy. How do I become like that when we may have lost that from a long time ago when we were kids? So if you want to move through the condition that you're in and overcome whatever mental obstacles or blocks or challenges that your personality is facing from where you are to the person you want to be, then you're going to need to create an effective strategy. An effective strategy in the reconstruction process means that you're able to use any and every tool available. It doesn't matter if it's from science-backed medicine, from Eastern medicine, from wherever. It doesn't matter the tool, it doesn't matter the form, it doesn't matter the patterns, the diagnoses. What only matters is that there is damage in your body, that you can identify that damage, that you can trace the damage, and that you can effectively create a strategy that will reverse or undo that damage. And so if you want to learn more about how the body works, about the root behind stress, or even just where I'm getting this information from, you can check out the other videos in this series. Thanks for watching, and I wish you the best on your journey to mental wellness. I hope you found this video useful. If you could think of someone who might benefit from this information, then please feel free to share this video or series with them. Also, please feel free to check out the other videos in this channel, as we're producing almost a video a week with the intention of bringing you tools to help you transform your mind so that you can improve your mental and physical performance. If you would like to support our mission to provide mental wellness to the world, then please consider making a tax-deductible donation to the Nootripure Foundation, which is a link in the description. And I look forward to helping you create a better you.